What's up, everybody? Welcome back. I'm Abe. This is Stellaris, and we're going to get into understanding resources and this top bar basically up here. So you've got energy credits, minerals, food, influence, and unity. We'll just start with these 5 items here. All right, so these 3 are your core basics, right? So space stations, let's see. Well, yeah, so we click on... And unfortunately, this is a bad example. But, okay. That's being tapped by... That's our spaceship. That's the mining station. There we go. Alright, so, got a mining station. If I were to build... This is not going well, but... Energy credits power stations, buildings, and they also are used to purchase leaders. So just to give an example, I've selected my construction ship, and let's say I want to build a mining station here. As I hover over this, you can see the monthly upkeep for that station by itself will be 1 energy credit. Okay? And the currency that you use to finance or to build that station are minerals, which is that little red gem icon, which is this one right here. Okay, so energy credits are sort of a maintenance device, and they're also sort of a currency in the game. A lot of times you can use energy credits to trade with other people for items and services. So the minerals, though, on the other hand, are used to upkeep ships that you have, like this construction ship, my science ship, my military specifically is going to be a large drain. And anyway, any of these items, if you hover over them, it will give you a good breakdown of what uses it. So if we just hover over energy credits, we currently have 100, and you can see that in the bar at the top, and you can also see, as in the tooltip here, that we have 100, but we're able to store up to 5,000 right now. Each month we gain 8.3. We're producing 18. We have a base income of 5. Buildings on our planets, and I believe on our star bases, are using 5. The ships are using 3 point, whatever. The star bases themselves have upkeeps of 3 and 2 that are, it's all in this system right now. We don't have anything beyond this. And the populations use energy as well. And then if we hover over minerals, you can see we also can store 5,000 of those. We currently have 200. These are standard things. The ship upkeep also comes out of here. So we've got ship upkeep of energy credits as well as ship upkeep of minerals. Consumer goods. And that's just a reflection of like how many pops or what your population is. They both use power and they consume goods, and those goods come out in the form of minerals. And you produce them. And so food has a direct impact on the ability to grow populations. And you can see here it gives a little explanation. It represents the various nutrients required to sustain and grow pops. Surplus food will be stockpiled according to the food stockpile policy and contributes to population growth if the stockpile is full. So right now, if we go to policies and edicts, there's a food stockpiling policy. And right now, if I click on it, there are 3 options. One is we only have a food storage capacity of 200, but once it hits 200, we will have a bonus to our population growth rate, because it's surplus to our savings, right? So the additional food that people have each month is going to grow and build more, or not build, but sort of to grow and reproduce more people. Now, this is 200 at minimal, 1,000 at balanced, and 5,000 at large. So the population growth bonus that you get for being maxed out of your food stockpile is nice. And so if you have a huge excess or surplus each month, then maybe it's worth upgrading this to balanced or large, letting it max out your food storage capacity there, because if there's ever an issue and you go into the negative on food, If you have too many populations, or you take something, over another, you take over another, I don't know, an enemy nation or whatever, and they have terrible food, then suddenly you'll be in a deficit, and if you have a very small stockpile, you won't have much of a buffer to sort of fix your problem. So that's why you can play with that, but we won't get into that too much right now. You've got your energy credits, your minerals, and your food, and that's sort of the core resources that you have in the game to play with. So if I look at my planet and I look at the surface of the planet, you can see that there are some, that each of the tiles where a population might exist has or contributes primarily one of those resources. So, we've got power from our planetary administration, capital, food, and more power, right? And so some of these, they have minerals and food and power and more minerals. And then some of these others, now let's look at the influence and unity. Prior to the 2.0 patch, influence was used to purchase leaders, right? So if I click over here and I look at the planet summary, our governor is a leader. I can look at all of our leaders here, and they're just listed out underneath each. You can have governors that manage a sector. You can have scientists that do your research as well as manage your science ships. You need to have a scientist in your science ship to do exploration and surveying other star systems. It's very important. There are admirals that lead your military and generals that lead your ground forces. So previously, influence was used to recruit new leaders. Now, as of 2.0, energy credits are used to recruit new leaders. So if I wanted to recruit an admiral, it's 200 energy credits, and I only have 100, so I can't do that yet. But each of these leaders has an attribute that will, benefit them in some way, or benefit you, I guess, in the long run. So this one is boosting research speed. They have an additional 10%. This person gains experience quicker, 25% faster than everybody else. This one has an expertise in materials research, and they have a 15% bonus to that. And, this person has a bonus to anomaly discovery, which is part of scanning and surveying and exploring other nearby systems. So anyway, influence at this point is, in the last game that I've played, which was my first foray into 2.0, primarily is used to as an expense to building outposts. So it talks about it here. It says it represents political clout and is used for many things like enacting edicts, making claims, building outposts, and dealing with factions. So if I want to interact with another faction, there aren't any others that I've come in contact with yet. But if we look at edicts, you can see here that if I want to, give a faction or my countrywide edict saying I want you guys to focus on surveying and anomaly discoveries, it'll cost me 100 influence and it'll last 11 years. So these are the things that that influence is used for. But again, primarily you use them for outposts. So if you want to build an outpost over here in this unknown area of space, it'll cost you 75 influence to do so. And if you're only gaining 3 per month, you can see that will drastically slow down your expansion rate. And these little lines here represent the hyperlane, the hyperlanes that you're able to travel upon as you explore and travel between star systems. So Unity, on the other hand, opens up and gives you access to traditions. And that's primarily what it's built on. So each of these has 5 different bonuses or buffs that they transfer to you. Like if you're looking to expand early in the game, right now I have to save up 56 Unity to unlock something. I'm getting 2 per month or 2.4 per month, and it'll take me 24 months. Okay, so once I get that built up after 24 months, I can select which of these tradition categories I want to unlock. And you can see that just by selecting a category, adoption effect, it makes my colony development speed 100% faster. And then I can come in here and pick some of these. And once they are all filled, once I've selected and sort of filled out each one of these, it gives me an additional boost, and this is that finisher effect, which you can see here. And once you've completed a block, it opens up an ascension perk, which, again, there's a lot that's going on here, and we can talk about these in a separate video. But right now, that's what Unity is. How you gain Unity. If you look at the planet, you can see that your capital generates Unity. There are a select few buildings that you can build, like the Autochthon Monument, that do nothing but contribute Unity. Stronghold contributes Unity. So there are ways to increase how much of that you get on a monthly basis, but that's what it's used for. You have 3 different types of research. You've got physics research, society research, and engineering research. And each of those you can see has a different amount that's being gained. And those symbols, which you hopefully have connected in your mind, the blue, the green, and the orange or the yellow, are reflected here. Blue, green, and yellow. So if you don't have a research in physics selected, this little icon will show up right here. And if you click on it, it'll open up the window and tell you which research options you can choose. So I'm not going to get too far into that, but you can see as we're looking at the map view here, and again, we're here on the overall map. I've got this turned on. Let's see, where is it? Details, map mode. Yeah, so this dictates what you can see, whether you can see the things that are already built out and exploited or not, right? So I've already built a research station on this society. I've got 1 mineral and power credit mining station on each of those. And that's what these sort of toggle and dictate. I can turn on and off the hyperlanes. You can see that there. Unions map mode, political unions such as subjects and federations. I don't have any. It's right at the beginning of the game, so that's not going to show anything. Empire map mode. It looks like Empire borders will be colored with the primary color of their flag, and that's kind of what you see here. Diplomatic, opinion. Basically, it gives you a lot of different ways to view information. But yeah, so that's what these are. So not only in these star systems will you find a planet that is of particular interest to physics. You can build a research station here, and that will raise your physics research by 2. If you look at your planet, every planet that you can colonize, some of them will have, like here, this particular block can give 1 society research bonus, right? And so if you go and you build a basic science lab on it, you will get 1 to every research type, and that will then also exploit and use the one that exists there. And so this little tile, obviously originally had 1 engineering research option here, and so we built a science lab on it, or they did for us to start out, and then it just added, so you can see everything that you're getting from this square. So yeah, each of these is reflecting its own sort of resource type. You can exploit them and benefit on planets. You can exploit them and benefit on like on the star side, on the star level map, and there are ways to give yourself boosts to that. So just as an example, this is a basic science lab. If you were to upgrade this, you could research an engineering facility, you could research a societal research thing, and a physics lab. And those would then start to add bonuses to each of their respective research types. So if you have an engineering lab, then you can upgrade the engineering lab to level 2 or 3, and it'll just continue to increase the amount of engineering that you get out of it. So this is what unlocks new technology, right? You can see here that there it is. That's a physics lab. See how it gives you 2 to physics and 1 to society, and still the 1 to engineering. Sometimes, yeah, there's the engineering facility, and that gives 2 to engineering and 1 to the other 2. So So anyway, this is what helps you unlock new technologies. The higher those are, the faster you will research technologies. But if you see here, this is the amount of points that you need to research and unlock this particular technology. Now, this number will increase depending on how many star systems you have control of, depending on how many populations you have, how many colonies, star bases, everything. This number will just go up the larger your controllable space, the larger your nation, or however you want to put it. The higher it is, the larger it is, the higher and more expensive these technologies will be. It's sort of a check on rampant research pursuit, I guess. So those are all of the resources right there, and those are kind of the primary things that you're going to be trying to build and expand upon. You want to have constantly have a positive flow of energy credit of pretty much all of these, right? You can get into the negative, and if for a short period of time that's what you absolutely have to do, then that's life, and you have to navigate that. But in your pursuit for more minerals, because that's what it takes to build things, don't overlook your power and your ability to support those things that you're building. If you find a bunch of systems that don't have any power as you build research stations and mining stations to exploit those resources, you will also then run into a problem where every station you build drains you of 1 energy credit each month, and it can get bad and expensive pretty quick. So those are the resources. This is how many planets you control, or how many systems you control, not planets. Some systems have 3 planets in them, and that still only counts as 1. So I can manually control up to 5 systems here. I currently have just the 1. This is my naval capacity, and if you look here, this is your naval capacity, not to be confused with your fleet size or fleet limitations. So if you hover over this, it tells you we can effectively support a number of ships equal to 20 units worth of fleet size. So right now I have 3 units worth of a fleet right here, and I can have as many as 20 in here. These two numbers will not always match. So you could have a naval capacity of 25 and a fleet capacity of 20. So you'll be able to make 25 units worth of ships, but this particular fleet will only be able to hold 20. And then you'll have to make a second fleet that holds the additional 5. Star bases and your star base capacity, that is if you build an outpost here, you can turn that outpost into a star base. And you're limited to how many of those you're able to have. Right now, right off the bat, you start with 3. That number goes up as you have populations and owned systems, and also technologies and traditions and things impact that. So things to keep your eye on. These are just sort of less active resources or things that you need to pay attention to. The rest of these are things that you're going to be acutely aware of, specifically these 3. And then strategic resources provide bonuses to your ability to terraform, to how much food you're producing, to all kinds of different things. And you'll come across those in technologies. As you research them, they will become visible on the map, and you'll have to build like a mining station or a research station to fully exploit them. But they have to be within your sphere of influence, which you can see here. So those are the resources. I think that there's a lot going on here, and I think it's probably best just to look at to try to figure out what's next. Let's get into, well, we'll see what where the next video takes us. I mean, maybe these few buttons up here will be the next video, and then we can get into like the first 10 years of the game. So thank you for watching. You can find me and support me over on Twitch at Vinsis. I work full-time, not on Twitch, so if I'm not there, then feel free to follow me here on YouTube at Vinsis Gaming. And yeah, there's all kinds of ways to find and support me. If you have questions, and I assume that you will, because this is a very complicated game, please let me know in the comments, and I'm happy to help. That's why I'm making these videos. I would love to make one that's specific to your needs. as I'm sure you're not the only one with that curiosity. So thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.